Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am joined by Sam.
Yo, what's up?
The Adamancipator expert on the channel. You've seen him quite a bit before, probably, if you have been subscribed to the channel. And most recently, a interesting deck has been popping up, which is Adamancipator Prank-Kids. And Sam had a lot of things to say about that deck. So for those interested in that deck list or a pure Adamancipator deck list, we have two lists for you guys today. And we will talk about pros, cons, why something is better than the other and stuff like that. And yeah, take the wheel, Sam.
Okay, so here you see a couple of stacks. This is like the main core of the deck that I think every deck should play. There's also hand traps in this, so there's still a lot of flex spots. And then I have like two stacks. This is for the build that I'm currently playing, that I think is way better. And then the Prank-Kid variant and the cards that you need to play if you want to play that variant. It's been getting a lot of popularity. And the synergy is there, but it's just way too inconsistent in my opinion. Then we have a little bit of cards that are just good in the main deck, that are options if you want to play either version, it doesn't really matter. And this is like a stack of cards that you might want to side in this deck. So we can start with the normal main deck.
Yeah, these are cards that you should probably always play, at least this meta.
Yeah, exactly. So 3 of all the minors, this hasn't changed at all. These cards are still broken. You want to always see these cards, so 3 is the standard ratio for that. I think you should always play one of the Crystal Dragite. It's another Adamancipator name. Playing Signs, it's also a really good card if you play Almirage in your extra deck, which I think every list is doing right now, and every list should do it. And they're like, this is also a good normal summon if you open like Seeker. It just extends your combos, it allows you to play, and it's a good card to hit. And it's a water for the Dragite. So then the rock targets haven't really changed. It's just like 9 of the best ones. You can count this as well. So mathematically, you want to play either 8 to 11, and I think 9 or 10 with this is the best ratio to play. These are also starters. This gets you more cards in your hand, makes you go plus. Also can chain block your Hulk, and this is still like how it used to be, play around hand traps.
Yeah, still a very strong card.
One card that I think is mandatory in this deck now is Parallel Exceed. You can get away without playing it, but this card is too good. It's a free rank 4, so it's either a Gallant Granite or an N-board piece like a Dweller, but it's also a light.
Wind.
Wind, sorry. And it's a level 4, so with your level 2 synchros, your level 2 tuners, you can go into level 6 synchros. It's just a really good card for this deck, that's why you should play this. Either 2 or 3, it depends on your build. And then this is just 7 spots for hand traps. I play these 7. The reason for this ratio is now 3 Ash is probably the best hand trap this format. It hits every deck. And I think Bell is better than Skullmeister. So instead of playing 2-2, I decided to just play 3 Bell because I want to see this card more. And just 1 Skullmeister. It's just there. It's the next best thing. You can have like the argument that this is not once per turn, so you want to play more of the Skullmeisters, but I still think like Bell is just a better card, so you want to always see this, and this can come up if you need it.
Yeah, just like swap these out for anything you need, or Cyclones or something like that on the locals that you're at.
Exactly, and then like it never comes up, but this can go into Almirage, be like a fire, it's a tuner for Hulk, so it's just a little bit of like more options with the cards. And then the standard like 4 spells that you must play are the reborn spells, which put your deck at 33 cards. So yeah, Signs obviously very broken, reborn same thing.
Yeah.
So I think I'll show the extra deck first, and then we go into the different engines that you can play. So the main extra deck should always play these 4 synchros. This is only there if you go like Doki Doki and a minor. In the Prank-Kid version, it's also with the droplets, the level 2 one. You can also just really extend to this. And these with the attributes given, like this is All Mirage, this is the Dray Guide, or the Helk Vibrex, this Parallel Exceed. You will probably always have these live. Gallant Granite should always be played. Another rank 4 XCs. I play Dweller because I just think this is the best card in this format. It really hits Virtual World. It's pretty much an FTK against Drytron. So this is a really good card to have as an option. Then for the links, this is like the thing you can be the most creative with. So I think Almira should be played. Helk, obviously. IP, also a really good card right now. Phoenix, Unicorn, Access Code. So this is 12 cards. Both of the versions have 3 different extra deck cards you want to play. And yeah, I think these are just the 6 cards you must have for your deck.
Most optimal to play right now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's take a look at your version first.
Yeah, so if you look at this main deck, the deck I play plays Triple Pot of Desires. That's why I also play 3 Parallel Exceed. I play 1 Plague Spreader, Dray Guide, another one, mainly for, let's say you open Doki Doki Researcher or something with this. You can easily discard this, get this on the field for another draw, Watering Grave, and it's just a good card to excavate, so I think 2 is fine. And I also play 2 Dinetheriums.
Just to extend.
Exactly, it's a great card to extend with. The best decks in the format don't really play level 4 monsters. So even going second, just summoning this card, it doesn't really give, like in Adamancipator mirror matches, you didn't really want to do that because your opponent could reborn like a Guardian or something. But right now, like Drytron is not going to reborn anything, maybe a Manju. And Virtual World doesn't play any level 4s. So I think it's a really good card because of the wind attribute. So these are the 7 cards that I play. And then for my extra deck, I do play the Cerberus as another Nightmare, just for a better, going second, a better extra deck. And I play Formula with the Satellite Warrior. So yeah, the main explanation for why I play this is it's an insane card. It's basically the same as the Battle Butler. As in this card pops like, it can pop up to like 5 cards if you summon it. Where this only pops monsters. This is also really good in trap matchups. Being able to just like let your opponent set 5 at best, and you just summon this, blow up their whole field in OTK from there.
With like Helk Vibrex, summon Formula Synchron, summon this, yeah. Yeah,
so the play is like you do Helk in your opponent's turn, summon this, get a draw, and then use this and the Dray Guide that you have on the field to go into this. You always have the 2 Synchros in the grave for Formula and the Dray Guide, and possibly even a Herald that you've used, or the Dray Guide or the Leonite that you either couldn't get live or needed for extension. So it's normally a 3 or 4 card to pop on the field.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I'll show the Prank-Kids variant. These would be the 3 cards that you play in your extra deck. And for the monsters, it would look like this, and the Pandemonium. So the main thing, what you want to do with this build, is you want to excavate this with one of your miners. And the build doesn't work if you don't excavate this.
Exactly. So for those, again, for you that don't know, when the Roxies get linked away or fusioned away for a Prank-Kids monster, you can activate their effects. You banish 1 card, then you summon the Dropsies, no, the Fancies. And then you have the Link 1 and the Frenzies. You link these 2 away.
Yeah.
For the bird, you search your quick play fusion spell, Fancies triggers, Foolish Burial's the one you didn't have.
And you summon the other one.
And you summon the other one, adding this card back to your hand. And then you can add 2 back to your hand. So you have the 3 that you needed for the fusion. And the fusion is basically a double Raigeki on steroids. He can tribute himself to destroy all monsters. And you can banish Meow Meow Moo from the grave. Instead of tributing him, he is not once per turn, so then you have 2 Raigekis.
Yeah, so the main plus side of this variant is you have more rocks in deck, and you have every attribute to your access that you need. So basically, you can like end on this, or wait, this is not quick play. So the thing is, like, you can use these for extension. You can also just not play this, not play the Butler, and just use them for the attributes, and just use them for extension, but then you're just playing 3 bricks. So earlier, when Linkfrost was still around, I tested around with a variant that only played this. Basically, because Linkross, obviously with the Marcher and the Cybers Integrator, made your level 6 synchro tuner, this would be a level 2 non-tuner water, which was actually really relevant in that variant. But I really do not see the plus side of playing these 3 cards, because they're basically bricks to open, not good cards to excavate, and I don't think this card is better than the
Satellite Warrior. Yeah.
Than the Satellite Warrior. So I don't want to play bricks in my main deck just to get a double Raigeki when I just can play more cards in my extra deck. That even allows me to play like better cards like these, because this obviously can also make different synchros. This is just a better going second card, and this card is just like, it gets to like 6,500 attack. So yeah, I would not want to like cut down on my consistency just to have a little bit of a better field. That's not even guaranteed, because if you don't hit this, that chance is obviously really low. But if you don't hit this, you're just playing a bad variant of Adamancipator. So I think this deck has just gotten a bunch of hype because Prank-Kids has gotten a bunch of hype. And I don't think the Adamancipator build is the way to go. I think you should just play Prank-Kids pure and like play Adamancipator pure. Like this, it's basically the same card. This is just like 10 times better in my opinion.
Yeah, stronger and more diverse popping back row as well.
Exactly. Okay, so that was it for the Prank-Kids that we have. Now I will show you guys a little bit of a stack of cards that you can play in either variant. Basically other main deck options than cards that I play. So if you, for example, don't really like Reborn, or you don't like to play so many hand traps, you could play cards like these. So in the extra deck you could play Crystal Wing and Appaloosa. So this is another option for IP. It's also, if you play a variant that doesn't need to have the Helk Firebricks on the field to end on, you can end on an Appaloosa, which is also a really good card this format. Crystal Wing is just another option for Dragite. Like, you can keep your Dragite in your extra deck and just end on this. Basically does the same thing with the formula, being able to make this, but it's just a monster negate instead of a spell trap negate. And for main deck cards that you want to play, you could play the Triple Tactics Talent. I don't think this card is in a really good spot right now. Maybe for this deck it should be, but people are either playing so many hand traps that this card just doesn't matter. Because like getting hand trapped on a certain point, it doesn't matter if you draw the 2 more card, because you just need it to summon from Helk or something. So yeah, I don't think this card is mandatory in the main deck, but it could be a really good option for going second. And then an engine that I really like is the Miracle Corruption engine. This is just, in my opinion, a really good engine this format. I just don't play it right now because I want to have space for hand traps instead of this. But you could get away with this. Basically, this allows your main deck to either going first, have another extender in the Revival Golem, and going second, a really easy out to both Vanity's Ruler and Winda, that this deck doesn't really normally have. So you either send this with this, target the Ruler. If they don't have a negate, you can just Book of Moon it and keep playing. Another thing, you can like normal summon this, crash into the Ruler, because it will always be an attack. So yeah, it's a really good out to those kind of cards.
And of course it helps extending with signs.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright.
And this card is not once per turn, which is also really relevant with all the Reborn spells that you play. So finally, I have a bunch of cards that you could side deck. I guess the Drolls can also be main deck this format. In this deck it's especially good because they're wind. But I don't think you should, because the only deck this really wins against is the Drytron. But you're not gonna play against 4 Drytrons a day. Like, that's just not gonna happen. So I think this card should be in your side deck, mainly for that matchup. And then for all the other options that I have, Lancia is also a really solid card this format, being able to hit Virtual World. And then Darkrooter No More. I always have been a real big fan of this card, because Darkrooter No More, then you make Dragite and you just bounce their whole field and set up your own negates. So I think this card is better than Droplets in this deck at least. And then this is a little bit of a choice that you have to make. I think it really depends on the engines that you play. Because if you play this engine, the Miracle Rupture with Golem engine, you can also play multiple Crusaders. If you play this, I think you should be playing Twin Twister, because opening this is insane. Plus this being a quick effect or a quick play spell is just, in my opinion, a lot better. But for this deck, the discard can be really bad. So maybe for this deck you want to play Lightning Storm or like Hate Trunade if it's out of your budget. But mainly in this format I would be playing Twin Twister instead of this. If you want to play Lightning Storm for this deck, it's also not bad. So then for another couple of blowout cards you should be playing these two at all times. Reason why Harpy's Feather Duster is good and Lightning Storm is not that good is because this is also a good top deck if you're already playing, where this doesn't really do anything if you top deck it in another turn. And Reboot is just a blowout card against trap decks. And then one card that I really like in this deck is Anti-Spell. It's also really, really good this format.
Really good, yeah.
Being able to like, all of the decks play spells. Drytron plays like 15 spells, Virtual World plays a bunch of spells. And like in the build that I showed, I only play 7 spells, which are the 4 Reborns and the Pot of Desires. And these are all spells that you can just set on your turn. Then you flip your Anti-Spell, and then next turn you can just flip your Reborn or whatever you have. And this card doesn't really matter at all for your deck. So I think this card is also in a really good spot.
Alright, anything else you want to add to that?
Not really. I actually just think that the Adamancipator deck is at a really, really good spot right now. Because as you see here, like the hand traps that I play are like the best hand traps this format. Maybe DD Crow is a little bit better than Skullmice or something. But these cards do nothing against this whole deck. Like Bell only hits your Reborn spells.
Yeah, and they don't really matter, quote unquote.
Like Skullmice can hit your Plague Spreader or something, but it isn't impactful enough. So every hand trap that everyone plays is just not that good. Ash can be good, but this deck is just notorious for playing through like 5 hand traps, even without Block Dragon. So I think the main power of this deck is just that it is so resilient to hand traps. And you can just basically always put up your field. And the field is just good enough to be able to win.
Alright, well thank you for the quick breakdown of both decks. So if you want to test any of these variants, be sure to give them a try. If you want to see some play test this deck himself, you can check him out on twitch.tv/SufferWhiteJoe. Link is in the description. Yeah. The Adamancipator expert himself. And yeah, let me know what deck you want to see next. You want to see some pure Prank-Kids? Let me know. Because we have been testing the deck all day.
Oh my god. Please don't.
Hear me talk about the deck? I don't know. Alright, thank you Sam, and
no
we'll see you next time. Bye guys.